had a tweet pop off a little bit a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to talk about it, but I couldn't because I got so wrapped up in this video, and so I wanted to try to address it here. So everybody knows Beyonce dropped Renaissance about a month ago, maybe. Aside from, Renaissance is dope, love the album. Maybe my favorite Beyonce album. I'm not like the biggest Beyonce fan, but I've liked all of her albums since Beyonce. I think that was the self-titled joint. It's not bass slander. I want to be very clear. This is not Beyonce slander. Okay? I can't have the Divestors and the Bayhive coming after me at one time. But it's more so like an argument that Beyonce is representative of. One of the major issues coming out of Beyonce's the album release was the whole thing with Kelis. And to kind of rehash it real quick, Beyonce sampled a Kelis song and did all the appropriate things to get the rights to sample the song. In the music industry at the time, Kelis does not get paid for sampling her songs. So she didn't get, like, every time you make a song, the song is split in a billion different ways to pay all the people that's supposed to get paid, because you made the beat and you used this inspiration from another song and you wrote this part and you wrote the hook and yada yada yada. It's complicated, and everybody has to sign contracts to say who gets what and who gets what when, for how long and how much. And for the longest in the music industry, the actual artists, especially if they were black and black women, black men in hip hop, like black artists in general, were the quickest to get screwed out of fair shares to the art that they were creating. It'd be different if it was a singer who just sung a song, didn't write it, didn't produce it, didn't make the track, like didn't do anything, just came in and sung it, right? It'd be different if you said, okay, you don't get any of these parts because you're just a performer, so you get a performance fee. I still think that's whack, but at least that makes sense. In Kelis's case, and in so many of these other cases, especially for rappers and like the singer-songwriter types, they were writing the songs, writing the music, putting together all these things, and all of that stuff, all that labor that they did would go to essentially whoever held the means of production. You feel me? You see where I'm going with this? And so many musicians, this is what happened to going back to TLC. This is why they were like 10 times platinum and broke, because they weren't getting any money off of the sale of their content. Most K-pop artists, probably. Yes. Thank you, Bellamy. Like K-pop is, I think, like the number one culprit probably right now for this in the world, because they're the only ones really selling like huge, moving huge units. So essentially, this is a like perfect microcosm of the exploitation of work, of a worker being alienated from their work. It is a perfect microcosm of why of Marxism. It's a perfect microcosm of some shit like that, right? And so the reason why, so I put out a tweet, and the tweet basically said, all respect due to Jay-Z and Beyonce. But something that still holds true in the black community is this reference of Jay-Z and Beyonce as revolutionary in some regard, as being good because of their immense wealth that they've amassed, as black excellence. It's basically a black excellence case study to some folks, where they say that Beyonce and Jay-Z becoming really rich, becoming billionaires, is what black communities need to do. We need to get our own capital, control our own, markets, control our own economic destiny, and that is what will lead us to liberation, yada, yada, yada. And they point to the fact that Jay-Z and Beyonce have funded all these things on the low and bailed people out of jail and supported Black Lives Matter, all this good stuff, right, on the low, which is cool, nice. But the thing that is missed is, I just saw somebody say, fam, they still billionaires. And at the end of the day, Jay-Z and Beyonce are not black. They are black bourgeoisie. They are black billionaires. And they don't move with the intention of liberation anymore. They don't. And this situation, what the aftermath of this was a perfect example of this. When the drama came out, and so yes, you could point out that Kelis was not respectful, right? Is, you know, if you want to tone police, you can say, oh, Kelis was mean to Beyonce, so Beyonce didn't have to do nothing, yada yada yada. Beyonce, who is arguably the most powerful woman in music right now. I don't know enough about the true nature of the music industry to say, like, I'm sure there's some old white woman from Germany that is more powerful than Beyonce in the music industry. But Beyonce is at least top 3. Beyonce single-handedly changed the way music was released in 2013. When music used to be released on Tuesdays, and Beyonce said, nope, the real time to do it is Fridays at midnight. And that's when it's been ever since. Instead of Beyonce using the immense power and wealth and influence that she has to put pressure on Pharrell, even just an announcement, Kelis is right. The contract she signed when she was 19 was exploitative, and she deserves a piece of the art that she made that she has not been able to profit off of. And we need to do better. Something, whatever it is, something that light wouldn't have been like ideal, but it would have been at least an argument in support of the fact that when you get rich black people, they use their influence to support liberation. That would have at least done something. Bellamy says all she had to do was lean on that nigga, poke him, something. That would have supported the argument that it's black excellence that's going to save black people. But she didn't do that. What Beyonce did was just take Kelis's piece off the song. And so what that does is that kills the issue. Because there's no issue now, there's no conflict. And a week after that, we had the shit with Irv Gotti and Ashanti, and it's the same thing. And this is why Beyonce and Jay-Z didn't agitate the situation. They didn't push the envelope how they should have, especially considering the power they have. They didn't push the envelope here because they know that if they advocate for Kelis to get the rights to her art, woo, Jay-Z and all his boys got to come up off bags. All of them do. Because the biggest hustle in hip hop, especially in the 90s and 2000s, wasn't to release your own records and release your own music, but it was to sign other artists and own their music. It was legit. Just straight up capitalism. It was owning the means of production, not actually working. Memphis Bleak, Freeway. Put them in the chat, y'all. Put them in the chat. Memphis Bleak, Freeway, Chris and Neef, Black Rob under Puffy. Like so many of our favorite rappers or favorite rap songs in that whole era, so many of my favorite rap songs from my era, right? These dudes did not get no money. These dudes died. A lot of these dudes, Black Rob died broke. Craig Mack died broke. Puffy's one of the worst ones. So many of them. So many of them. I mean, they're all telling their stories now. Like you can't go a week without a rapper from the 90s and early 2000s talking about how insert hip hop legend here, insert black excellence, black billionaire here, jerked them out of money by making them sign a contract and not renegotiating the contract to get some of that money back. So all of these people were doing this in the 90s and 2000s. And Kelis is just one of many. Kelis is just music landlords. Thank you. Where'd it go? That was perfect. Music landlords. That's basically what it is. And so the whole point of me talking about this is not to denigrate Beyonce, disrespect Beyonce in general, or Jay-Z explicitly, but to just point out that, and to quote Kim Foster, we are not going to LLC ourselves to liberation. Get your money. I know I'm getting my money. I be talking to folks on the low. A lot of black creators I connect with. I'm like, yo, don't let them demonetize your shit. If you can hold off and get that monetized, do it. Cause like we still got to eat. I'm not saying give up your checks, but that's for labor. That's for a creation I made. I'm not about to start, like, one of the first things I had people telling me when I started like getting serious and big, people said, yo, you know, the real money in YouTube is to start a network under you as an umbrella. I'm like, you mean a record label, my nigga? A YouTube record label? You want me to be you want me to be Suge Knight on YouTube? Death Row videos? But it's true. And there's people out there that do it. You know, you look at like the Fine Brothers were one of the main culprits of that. You can start a whole bunch of channels under an umbrella and get a whole bunch of people employed and make a lot more money for a lot less effort. You too can be a capitalist if you want. But understand, if that's what you do, don't try to make your capitalist grind into some type of liberation ethos, because it's not. It's not. I love Beyonce. I love Jay-Z. Both legends. I love the music. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not hearing anybody that is trying to model any idea around Black progress based off of getting money, getting the LLC. Because I know so many, like, I'm in Atlanta, yo. I've said this before. I know a lot of Black bourgeoisie folks that's getting money, but they get money in ways I'm like, ooh, you just a Black version of another exploiter to a lot of these folks. That's all you are, you know? So that's it. That's all I wanted to say about that. I wanted to clarify that because some people made it seem like, and I understand why. I mean, it's a Twitter hot take, and that's what Twitter hot takes are meant to do. They were saying like I was expecting Beyonce to be the savior of music, and no, like I'm not expecting Beyonce to save music. I'm just saying she could have did more than nothing. She could have did more than nothing, and that would have been indicative of this argument about love that one. Hustling isn't praxis. It could have been more than this argument about how Black people with money is going to, you know, save Sud Signifier.